So now, what are the important things here? So in the family, so definitely such a revolution has separated sex from matrimonial and love from family. You know, this is called revolution, has had political implications as well. It has become now an ideology which has made sex as a weapon to break all the ties of tradition. It rampages all parent child relationship, family institutions, and social fabric and establishes a most exasperating individualism. That's there in the family. Then in the school. So basically, sex education does not exclude the positive intervention of school or the other educational associations, but it re-indicates strongly the unsubstitutable role of the parents and of the family atmosphere as the first and foremost factor. We can make out whatever we say about the school responsibility, but first we have to assume and believe the family plays the most important role in that. So, the human and family perspective is kept outside sex, and sex is regarding as something purely private and personal. That's there. So, individual persons, sexuality is innate in the body and in all dimension of the person as a whole. It involves the total development of his her person in his or her physical and spiritual life, which will be reflected in his or social relation. So, in other words, what do we understand? Sexuality is inscribed in the person, in his or her growth, in his or her complementary relation of one sex towards the other, and his or her openness in giving up of self for the others. Then in the society, so, society actually should continue to question itself as to what kind of young women and men it should like to form for tomorrow. That's important. So, what is the right time to start the sex education? That is very important question. We all can think about this. We all are adults now sitting in the classroom. So, this question is really important and has a deep meaning to understand. So, importing of sex education at different stages and levels has been a subject of debate since long. In India, sexual health education is not only absent at the school and college level, but is a grossly neglected subject even in the curricula of medical institutions also. That's there. So appropriate period for providing sexual health education is concerned, there is actually no fixed time or definite time to start this process. Informal sex education can be started at any time when the child's curiosity makes him her repeated to conceptual inputs as the child grows, importing knowledge appropriate for his or her age would be the right approach. So from this we can understand, it may start from a very young age of the childhood, at his or her level of understanding. So depending on that, we can answer to the different questions of the child. That's there. you know that is important. So now we go for the role of home. So role of home in sexual health education. So children first learn about sex and uh, morals by observing the attitude and behavior of their parents and family members. Yeah, somebody saying something. Somebody saying something, or can I continue? I can continue. Yeah.
Yeah, continue.
No, ma'am, continue.
I'm hearing some voices, but I'm not able to understand what it is.
Continue, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Okay. So, So I'm again repeating, children first learn about sex and morals by observing the attitude and behavior of their parents and family members. You know, so important a caring and loving relationship is often understood by the behavior patterns of children manifested at different stages of emotional and sexual development. Generally, why? Because during childhood, most of the learning is acquired by imitation. Generally, the young children imitate their elders, their teachers, they consider them as role models. So that's how. So it is important for the parents to be aware of their roles and to impart positive sexual health education to their children. See, most appropriate attitude is to let the child know that sex is not a dirty reality. This is something very important. Sometimes it is observed with elders at home, with parents or grandparents. They believe why we have to give a sex education to our children. They feel it is not a good game. It is a kind of a dirty thing. We are not supposed to talk about it. So here it has been explained. You know, so that let the child know that sex is not a dirty reality, and curiosity in this sphere is a common and natural process of growing up. That's very important. Sex should not be mixed up with STD, sexually transmitted disease, AIDS, teenage pregnancies, rape, and pornography, child molestation. We don't need to mix it up with all these kind of things which have a negative impact on the society. But you know children should no doubt be warned about these dangers of these kind of problems, but at the same time parents should not forget to acknowledge and explain that sex in its proper place is a good and wonderful thing. So parents should neither panic when children ask these kind of questions, nor should they express distress at seeing their children exploring their bodies. Children at different age groups surely explore their bodies. They would not know what their private parts are, what is the role of which body part, and they have a curiosity to ask. So parents need to understand their roles and responsibilities accordingly. Yeah, it is the parent's attitude that is important. Sometimes the child's curiosity and concerns may seem irrational, but they may also be real to him, her, and should not be dismissed or discarded by parents. That one all should always remember as a role of a parents, in the family. So sexual health education is important, but of great importance it's the fact that it is imparted from childhood onwards. Youngsters need to feel free to talk with parents about sex and sexuality even before puberty, because by then they are already sexual beings. So it just appeared that sexual orientation is a product of puberty, but in reality, they are reflections of sexual modes well established in childhood and do not change much in later period. So that is important, you know. So see here there are a few more things I'm just sharing. Norm settings. So what is there in the norm setting? See, norm setting is boys and girls begin to learn the morals and customs that are expected of them from their interaction with their parents, families, and close kin. So different cultures impose rules of different severity and maintain control of varying strengths. Young people are bound to have secrets, feelings, and thoughts that they may not reveal to the adult close to them. So, in a number of societies in Western countries, for example, sexuality and attraction to others are themselves the things that offer a path for a young person to create his or her own more or less independent life. That's there. Then parents' responsibility. So parental responsibility, it's the primary responsibility of imparting sex and health education lies with parents. With the fast changing market, economy, migration of people, increasing educational opportunities, you know, and exposure to various mass media, so there is certainly an added necessity to address the issue of sex and sexuality by responsible people. So here there are few important things that parents should inculcate a positive attitude on sexual health education. They strongly discourage tendency towards developing unhealthy lifestyle to children, provide healthy home environment, and then cooperate with the school in their attempt to encourage healthy lifestyle, build relationship with school teachers, and cooperate with their initiative towards providing self education. Encourage children to follow the instructions and guidance provided to them from the school on sexual health matters. So this is what we have understood of role of home in sexual health education. Now we proceed to role of schools and school teachers in sexual health education. So what it is, it says that more successful school-based programs seek to engage students in participatory and exploratory activities where they can actively take part in frank discussions about their thoughts and fears. you know Students can be supported in clarifying their attitude and value relation to reproductive health through participatory discussions. They can learn generally life skills that will help them to maintain the behavior which will support their desired sexual and reproductive health outcomes. Addressing issues of self esteem, assertiveness, gender, and socio-cultural factors while developing skills and access to services more effectively. In any school, in any kind of a school, sexual health education program, it is important that the concept of responsibility be introduced so as to make personal health and hygiene a priority. This responsibility should be expected from the child in the school, the teacher, parent, school administration, and the community. All them, all of them play a very important role in that. You know, so basically, in fact, it is the responsibility of the school to supplement the training that the child receives in his her family. Here, so what are basically the responsibility of the school? Responsibility, first we will understand the responsibility of the child, and then we will understand the responsibility of the school and teachers for this. So responsibility of the child. So primary responsibility in learning about sexual health education lies with the child in school. If the child is willing to learn, willing to gain some knowledge, that is important. So that attitude has to be developed by the child to gain some knowledge and acquire some skills about it. So it says, what are the major responsibilities of the child? To learn to understand the importance of positive health, need and importance of acquiring adequate and right knowledge on sexual health, know the unhealthy lifestyles lead to diseases and unhappiness, participate in the process of sexual health learning initiated by the school, to carry home sexual health education messages received in the school and community and seek clarification from parents or responsible adults in the family. So, to maintain a healthy lifestyle at the school and at home, you know, then now it is the responsibility of the school and teacher. So responsibility, when we talk about the responsibility, it must be shared between the various players, that is the children's school and school teachers. So now we are trying to understand what are the important role of the school teachers, providing health education. So it says to ensure that school environment is conducive for providing positive sexual health education, enable all teachers to imbibe content and method or transmission of sexual health related learning material. So empower teacher to transmit sexual health related messages to children. To develop teacher as a role models of positive health so that students may get inspired to interact as closely as possible with students as necessary to observe and positively influence health related behavior. You know, resist all attempts to introduce unhealthy lifestyle. That is important to suitably recognize positive behavior in students. So these are some of the important uh, you know uh, roles of the teachers in school setting. Then strategies, then it talks about what are the important strategies. So there are many strategies that have been adopted in the field of school health services. First is supervisory strategy. So, supervisory strategy means it involves intervention by health professionals who undertake the responsibility of providing health care to the school children periodically through annual medical examination, counseling, and guidance. So this can help. Then preventive health program. So preventive health program means stressing the importance of immunization, disinfecting water, safe disposal of refuse, lecture in personal hygiene, displaying of health posters, and organizing film video shows for the children. So this is how we can prevent. This is a kind of a preventive health programs. And then the next is participatory. So participatory is another strategy. That means it is a very kind of a key player because it involves community leaders, parents, teachers, and school children are involved. You know, it says that formation of core group of people who will directly responsible for the school health programs, including self education, community leaders, parent, teacher, and school children, being made aware of the importance of school health and sexual health education. Identify the local health professional who could play the role of technical advisors, training of core group members, teachers, and selected parents for this. Identify health needs of school children, identification of specific components of school health program, and prioritizing the specific activities. So likewise, these are the important three important strategies we have talked about. Now it comes the role of mass media. Mass media can also play a very important role. It can have a positive and negative both sides. When when our children receive this sexual health education through mass media. So mass media particularly, newspaper, magazine, journals, leaflets, television, radio, that have helped to provide information and create awareness among the people about many sensitive and health related issues. If we want to provide a consciously planned sexual health education program, we need to mount and sustain a major public education campaign. So, media can play a key role in creating awareness about the importance of sexual education at a time when we are faced with sexually transmitted killers, like diseases like HIV, AIDS, etc. So, here, information, education, and communication, in short, we call it IEC. So basically is a process that informs, motivates, and helps people to adopt and maintain healthy practices in life and prevents them from acquiring infections and ill health. So sexual health programs, whether at school or in a community where illiteracy and ignorance exist, need to make use of every method of communication to impart accurate and complete knowledge on the subject. This is really important. So now we see, just a minute. Huh. So basically, here there are, if we talk about that, this basically it says that in our country, like India, numerous cultural and linguistic diversities are there. So this poses a great challenge for developing a suitable information, education, and communication material that I just said is called in short IEC. So that's there. So basically here it has explained what are the important media, mass media approaches which are used and can be used for the sexual health education. So these are a few things explained over here. I will not go to explain these because we all know what are their roles. So I will not talk about it in detail. But these are the important things are posters, collages, banners, murals, flip charts, and flashcards, broadcast media, telecast media, cinema, print media, multimedia, negative impact of media. So, so this is what it is. These, as we see here, that all these kind of media can play a very important role. When we say negative impact of the media, here we all can understand that several times it is observed that the media can have a negative impact on the thing. For that, we always say that young people need guidance and support to recognize what is right and what is wrong, and to choose healthy lifestyle. So that's really very important, for we all. So the parents should keep themselves updated and aware, and communicate with their children about the advantages and limitations of new technologies. So that's something which is very important. That's we really need to understand that, as I said earlier also, that media at times can play a very very negative role. So here the parents role is very important to always observe, monitor their children, and see that the they if the if media is being used and the children are, nowadays, through media we all know this YouTube, WhatsApp, this Instagram, Facebook, all kind of such media at times has so much of vulgar material available for all, for everybody to see. But if parents do not show their strictness and do not observe their children, so at times children watch a very dirty material which is not probably right for their age, and that gives too much of excitement and too much of curiosity for them to know and understand. And as it doesn't give them a real good impression, so children indulge in sexual activity in a very young age. To give you an example for this, I can share. I was in Juvenile Justice Board, and Juvenile Justice Board means that is a body that deals with children in conflict with law. So means the children who are between the generally the children who are younger than 18 years are and have done any kind of a crime, they are produced before the Juvenile Justice Board, and Juvenile Justice Board take a decision for their restoration, rehabilitation, and for that. So many times, when I was sitting at that chair, it's like a bench, it's a magistrate position. Though with the, like if I am sitting on that chair with me, it's a bench of three people. One is the principal magistrate, which is a judicial officer, and two members like me. We have to play a role of a, from a as a child rights expert, a person with child rights expertise. So many times we have seen young children, you won't believe, you know I had seen the cases of children who are 10, 11 years of age, and they had raped a 3 4 years old child. So that is something, it was a very alarming situation, that such a young child who himself is not really aware what is right and wrong over him, and who actually may not understand, be able to understand what rape is, but his case has come to CWC, come to Juvenile Justice Board as a case of a rape, you know, that he raped a young 3 4 years old child. So for me, he himself is a child. So there, as a bench, we felt that it is very important, what topic we are discussing now, and what all I'm sharing with you, and what all we are discussing, what all we have talked till now about this. So that shows the role of parents, role of school, role of teachers, role of family members, role of all adults in the home, you know, and the children who are in the peer group, maybe the older children. So everybody plays a very important role in the life of a child. You know, if a 10 years old child indulge in this kind of activity who doesn't even know what is right and wrong for him, so that means somewhere, you know, he was not informed the right perspective about sex, what it is. So since he himself was not able to understand, so he explored. Okay, let me do this. He may have seen his parents indulging in sex, or he may have seen with one of his friends any blue film. We don't know what all had happened in this case, but this has led to a negative impact. So this is something we have to avoid. So we have to use whatever we have learned today in our class, you know, what all I have discussed with you. So I thought with my, you know, field where I worked for so long, you know, when my tenure in a JJB Juvenile Justice Board is for 3 years. So I worked for 3 years and I had several cases like this where there were young children indulging in sex with the younger children. So that is an area of a you know, worry, where we all need to play our role and ensure how we can bring change in our system, in our society, you know. So I thought of sharing with you about this. So now, rule of school administration in promoting school safety. So sometimes students in the school may be witness to or victims of physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, etc. So, school administration requires to develop policy and procedures to address such issues. You know, school functionaries who suspect students' involvement in such violence should communicate their concerns to the school social workers, counselors, or any other designated teacher or official. That's very important, you know. If anybody observes any such kind of a behavior in students in the school setting, so they really need to be very you know, actively participate and see what all can be improved for this. So school student services team members, ideally the school nurse, school psychologist, school social workers and counselor will have to work together to assist students and their families. In such cases, parents should be taken into confidence. That is important. If school comes to know about any such incidents in any way, they have to bring this to the knowledge of the parents. Sometimes parents are also in a denial mode. You know, they don't accept if their child can engage in any such kind of activity. So it is very important. At times, it is needed that child and the parents both need to be given counseling, both need to be made explain what is right and what is wrong. You know, what all they need to know, how they need to take care of the child. So everything need to be explained. So here, school violence prevention measures, you know. So our schools work to prevent school violence, and schools are expected to be very safe places. The students, staff and parents can play important roles in promoting school safety by following procedures and reporting unusual or suspecting behavior noticed by them. You know, there should be adequate security system like metal detectors, video monitoring, you know, CCTV cameras nowadays we have everywhere there, exit door, alarm systems, etc. All we need to be taken care of. You know, all this is really very important. So that's there. So it is written that there should be limited access to anyone to school building, preferably through the designated entrance with all other access points locked from the exterior. Monitoring should be done of the school parking. So regular monitoring and supervision of students, common areas such as cafeterias, washroom and playgrounds. This is really very important, you know. School should have presence of security guards at vital points The school guests should be monitored. They should report to the main office, sign in, and wear badges if anybody is allowed entry in the school. So all these things are very important, and we really need to be taken care of. So with this we have completed our this block 2. So now we have completed with our block 2, and I will now just give me a minute. I have to now go to start with my block 3 PPT. Anybody has any question right now? You can ask, because I had shared with my experience in the field about this. If no, then I can proceed further. So So if there are no questions, so now I am going to start with my third block. So the third block is block 3 is programs for family welfare. So as you all know that only the first block has 5 units, all other blocks have 4 units. So now we have covered 9 units, 5 units in the first block and 4 units in the second block. So today now we are going to start with our block 3, and block 3 now we have block 3 is about programs for family welfare, and the first unit is Indian family in transition. It is going to talk about the transition phase. It will talk about family structure, functions and relationship and family dynamics, social changes affecting Indian family and problems encountered, then government policies and programs for the families and human rights in the family. Then it will talk about planning for family and responsible parenthood. Yeah. So, family structure, functions, and relationship. So, family actually, it may be defined as a group of persons united by the ties of marriage, blood, or adoption, or consensual unions, generally constituting a single household, you know, interacting and communicating with each other, and creating and maintaining a common culture. This is a very simple, a general definition given for the family. So now, family functions, So there are three major areas of functions which have been particularly emphasized. So functions of the family, you know क्या है for are for the society, the functions of the subsystems within a family, and the functions of the family for individual family members. So basically, I hope you understand. Basically, it talks, the functions which are related for the society. Second, it talks about subsystems within a family. And thirdly, it says family for individual family members. So this is what has been explained here. Then you have, what are family patrons? What kind of a family patrons we observe? So, family patterns are conceptualized in the term of family composition. A household is one of the dimensions of the family pattern. It is residential and domestic unit composed of one or more persons living under the same roof and eating food cooked in a single kitchen. This is what has been explained here. So the normative family patterns in India are extended or joint family, and elementary or nuclear family. We have talked about it, in first year also, and in our first three classes also about the nuclear family and joint family system in one or the other unit. So, family pattern is mainly concerned with this. Then we talk about family structure. So, what do we understand by family structure? So, family structure is conceptualized as the configuration of role, power, and status and relationship in the family. It depends upon the family's socio-economic background, family pattern, and extent of urbanization. So, family structure has implications for family unity and stability and development of individuals. So, this is something which is important related to structure. Then we have family practices. So, what do we understand by family practices? So, family practices depend upon the family's ethnic background, extent of urbanization, family structure, and family laws. So, marriage practices cover marriage patterns, selection of marriage partner, and age of marriage, you know, age at communication of marriage, marriage rituals, financial exchanges, and divorce. All this is a kind of a family practices. Other family practices include lineage residence, childbearing, childbirth, adoption, guardianship, and custody of children, maintenance, death, and inheritance and succession. So everything is there in that. So all that is there. So role of the family in the socialization of the child. So basically, socialization is the process by which persons learn the way of a given society. Children are taught the ways and values of their society through contact with already socialized individuals. That is important. This is something we had studied in first year also. We had studied in very detail socialization of the child, how the child socialize in the when the child gets birth and child is born, what is the socialization process, who all are important to socialize a child. So all that we had already read in detail in first year. So now we understand that role of the family is very important in socialization of the child. So now we will move to family dynamics. So family dynamics. So family dynamics broadly comprise family interaction and family development as influenced by socialization of family norms of individual members. So this is something we will now learn what all are there in family dynamics. So first, family interaction. So family interactions again is something we all can very well imagine and understand. When the family members interpersonal relationship, how the families interact with each other, you know what kind of a relationship they manage in the family. So all that interpersonal relationship is a relation based on personal interaction, rather than on any legal or structural basis, because it is a family is a place where we have an informal kind of a gathering, informal kind of a relationship within the family members. So interpersonal relationship here is, it could be between father and son, mother and daughter, or between the couple, between the siblings. It could be between anybody. Then it says family cohesion. So family cohesion means emotional bonding that family members have towards one another. That is very important. The family cohesion is mainly talks about emotional bonding between the family members. There are four levels of cohesion, that is ranging from disengaged to separated to connect to enmeshed. So these are a few levels that has been explained here. Then next is family communication. So family communication here is defined as all verbal and non-verbal behavior that occurs within the family and between the family and its social environment. So this is important. Then you have role performance. So role performance is could be role enactment, role performance, and role behavior. So here the behavior dimension of roles either validates the cultural expectations or emerges to create new roles. Then role competence. So role competence is the evaluation of one's own and another's performance. Then role conflict. So, inter-role conflicts take place when the norms or behavior patterns of one role are inconsistent with those of another role of the same individual. The intra-role conflict takes place when two or more categories of people hold conflicting expectations, concerning the behavior appropriate to a single role. Then next is decision making. So decision making involves recognition of need for decision, identification and weighing of acceptable alternatives, selection of an alternative and facilitating its implementation. Then you have family, and then you have after this decision making you have family adaptability. So it is defined as ability of a family system to change its power structure, role relationships, and relationship rules in responsible to situational and developmental stress. Next, here we will study now family development. So what do we understand by family development? you know Family development concept of family development basically gives a longitudinal view to compare family interactions in different stages of family lifespan. So these stages may be determined by the age and developmental needs of the adults and the children in the family. Here they have explained the different stages. So different stages starts from the birth of the child till the one is alive, till the aging and age level and all. It has been explained here. Then it says development tasks. So development task, what do we understand by that? So a family's development task is a growth responsibility, that arises as a certain stage in the life of a family, successful achievement of which leads to satisfaction and success with later tasks. So here it says that family life development program aims at development of knowledge, attitude, and skills, you know toward democratic family functioning and strong family ecology. So it talks about that here. So by this, you know now we will go to our next here. One second. So here we are going now to talk about social change affecting Indian families. So social change affecting Indian families. To tell you people, I'm just sharing here. Please note, I have seen there are one or the other times in the actually this subject is very new. It started from January 22, and I have seen the question papers of June 22, December 22, and June 23. Somehow I noticed this social change and the change in traditional functions and what are there. So there are one or the other time there are questions on this subject. So it is very important for all of us to understand this concept very clearly. So basically, the process of industrialization and the consequent urbanization and commercialization have had drastic impacts of the family, migration to urban areas, growth of slums, change from caste oriented and hereditary occupation to new patterns of employment offered by the technological revolution. All this has made a are the factors to bring social change in Indian setting. We are studying in India, so it is there. So basically, briefly speaking, these changes in the socio-economic, political, cultural milieu of our society have led to changes in the structures, functions, roles, relationship, and values in the family. So now we are going to talk about change in transitional functions. So change in transitional functions here. So many functions performed by the traditional family are being taken over by other agencies such as schools, daycare center, commercial and entertainment centers, etc. So major area of the family that has been affected by the social and economic changes in the society is that of the role performed or expected of the different members of the family. So the traditional role allocation based on sex, age or kinship has changed. Basically with more and more women, you know, taking up jobs outside the home, the traditional of the wife has changed. The changes in the roles have inevitably affected the relationship among the members of the family. So basically, this has a very you know great meaning here, because whenever you get questions on this subject, so many times we observe all these reasons, the industrialization, urbanization, the commercialization, and the women more and more going for jobs, all that has linked to social change in the society system. So this is what we are going to talk about here. uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah. So basically, the concept of freedom, you know, individuality and rights of the individual have had their impact on the relationships too. So that's there. So problems, such as child neglect, behavior problems in children, indiscipline among the youth, alcoholism, drug addiction, neglect of the elderly, marital disharmony, etc., all on the increase today and are indications that the family is not able to handle the changes in a desirable manner. So this is something which we can very easily observe and see how this kind of changes are going to have an impact on the people living in our country. Because we are talking about India, I feel you may have in South Africa, maybe certain differences may be there, but as this subject and it focuses mainly on the Indian pattern, so I'm talking to you about that. Now next is alternative family patterns. So what do we understand by alternative family patterns? So the term alternative family pattern suggests family patterns that result from personal circumstances outside one control, death of a partner, you know, infertility, all from socio-economic conditions, male migration, work participation of women, you know, that is there. That in Indian context, if we say, based on India, most family variations are a result of personal or social economic circumstances. So, it is observed that some of the commonly family variations in India are single parent families, So, we can read about it also, but here it has been given, in short form only, that single parent families can have a like different kind of a problems than female headed households, then dual earners or carrier families, then childless families, then adoptive families. So all these have a different kind of a impact on the family patterns. Next, we are going to talk about here problems encountered in the family and you know and intervention programs. You know, this is what we are going to talk about today. That what are the problems encountered in the family? So there is a list of major family problems given over here. We are going to talk about that. So here it says families with individuals having problems. So families with individuals having problems means families of the disabled, families of the chronically or terminally ill, families of substance abuse addicts. So this is something what we can observe at the individual level. Then next is problems with childbearing. Childbearing is something to begin with. We talk about infertility, you know, or sometimes it is unwed motherhood. So these are a real concern, if it is a problem of infertility, or if somebody, without marriage giving birth to a child, so that is a area of concern. Then next is marital problems. So marital problems means marital disharmony or marital breakdown. So we all can imagine and understand that in many stages, at many times, we observe certain things like that there is a disharmony. The parents, the marriage has taken place maybe due to pressure, or maybe due to, maybe in a love marriage also. Sometimes, before marriage you were able to understand each other, but just after getting married you feel you do not know, you don't have any similarities, and it is very difficult to live together. So we observe the marital disharmony in this, or marital breakdowns take place, so that's there. Next is abuse and violence in families. See, abuse and violence in families, we can relate with child abuse in family. Many times we'll see in many family situations, you know, the children are being abused. It could be by their relatives, by elders, by neighbors, or by anybody. Then family violence against women. It is again in India, in many families, and especially maybe nowadays in urban setting, maybe I won't say it is totally less, but it is probably comparatively slightly lesser, that family violence against women is happening, more or more, maybe in a rural setting, or you can say where the woman is uneducated, or is not able to respond, or not able to stand up for her own rights. So there, those kind of things are there. Elderly abuse in the family. Elderly abuse is again something which is very common, and it is common even in urban communities, in urban areas, because the young people are working, they are busy with their jobs and their responsibilities to take care of their young children, and so on and so off. And they are not in a position, and if the elders are not well at home, and they, due to whatever reason, not in a position to care for them. It could be different reasons. So those kind of problems may happen. Then family abuse of the disabled. If there is any disabled person at home, nobody wants to take care of that person, so there are reasons. So of different problems with that. Then families in conflict with other systems. So what is that? So families with unemployment, indebtedness. If there are families where the youth, the young adults at home are not able to get any suitable job for them, and they may get into the drug addiction or any kind of a bad habits, or they might have taken loan from somebody and not in a position to repay. So all that leads to different kind of problems. Then families with any inadequate or no land or housing. So this is again something which is observed, that if there is no home, for poor, for poverty stricken family, it is it is something a known fact. But otherwise, when we see a lower income group or a middle income group family, if we feel, if there are families where there is no land or housing, so they find it difficult, because if they have to pay too much of rent, So sometimes their income may not support them to repay, to every month take out money to pay the yeah, rent amount for their house. So it becomes again an area of concern. So that's there. Then families affected by disequilibrium in other systems. What are that? So families facing political violence, families facing environmental disease, or uprooted refugees or migrant families. And the last is not the least is family deprivation. So what do we understand by family deprivation? So here it is, family deprivation includes destitute children, you know destitute adults or destitute aged, means they are the destitute where there is nobody to take care of them, whether they are children, whether they are youth, or whether they are in their old age. So this is something what we understand by that. So these family situation in turn may affect the family functions, interactions, and individual members. Family may become incapable of caring for some individual members. So, family interaction patterns may change as a coping mechanism. Harm may be caused to physical and mental development and health of individual members, particularly children, women, and the aged. In extreme situations, family may disintegrate and individual members may become destitute. So, this is what we understand by this. So now it talks about family intervention. So what is family intervention? If we see a family practitioner's role comprises planning and implementing of combination of interventions ranging from developmental to remedial, using individual, group, as well as community methods to strengthen these families' coping mechanism and then rehabilitate them. The groups needed family intervention may be children, adolescent, youth, women, couples, or the aged. But the family as a whole may be considered the unit for intervention. So, this is what we understand by family intervention. Okay. Now we will study about government policies and programs for families. So here, so basically, what is it? So it says policy means everything that government does for the family explicitly or implicitly. You know, the Constitution of India does not make an explicit reference to the family. However, it lays down the fundamental rights of individual citizens in terms of equality, non discrimination, and protection. That's important. So here they have explained, a few government policies and programs. So first of all, it talks about social policy and the family. So when it talks about social policy and the family, it has it is actually here the policies and programs that are mentioned here, they are just mentioned. They have not explained in detail about all these policies, and it is may not be even otherwise also suitable for you to understand and read in detail about these social policies, because here also in the material, in the book what you have, the material for study you have, It doesn't stay, say anything in detail about these policies. But what are these policies? The first is says Family Welfare Program 1977. It also says that is of the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Then it says National Policy for Children, that has come in 1974. Then it says National Plan of Action, that has come in 1992. Then it says National Policy for Child Labor, that has come in 1987. Then it says National Youth Policy 2014, that has, then it talks about National Policy on Education 1986. Then it says National Health Policy, that is of 2017. So this is what has been just given, the few important policies that are important for the family welfare, that are explicitly explain certain important policies made by government of India for the welfare of family. So those are there. Now it says family laws in India. So here, see, uh, just give me 2 minutes. Okay. Basically, just give me. I'll just take a glass of water, please. Basically, it says that India has different personal laws for families belonging to different religions and therefore do not have any agreed upon goals about this important aspect of civic life. Hindus, Muslims, Christians, Jews, and Parsis have their own personal laws which cover matters of personal relations and family practices such as marriage, divorce, adoption, maintenance, guardianship, and custody of children, and inheritance and succession. So in India, Article 44 of the Constitution maintains that state shall endure to secure for the citizens a uniform civil code throughout the territory of India. So this is, India has the articles, Constitution of India has articles, and so this Article 44 has been explained here, that says state shall endure to secure for the citizens a uniform civil code throughout the territory of India. So that's there. So here they have just given that the few secular family laws are the Prohibition of Child Marriage Act 2006. See, then it talks about medical termination of pregnancy Act 1972. Then it talks about Special Marriage Act 1954. Then it talks about Dowry Prohibition Act 1961. Then it says provision made in the Criminal Procedure Code and Indian Penal Code. See, in our further, we still have two more sessions to indulge in, and we will study two, three important acts which have been, given here. Few basic details about Special Marriage Act and Dowry Prohibition Act, and then Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act. We will study in our, I think, tomorrow and day after class a little bit more detail about these, these acts. Not everything, and everything is not really, you don't need to study and understand that, because you are not a law student also, and it is not an area of your, thing that you have to understand that, but it will talk about it. Just give me. Sorry. Yeah. So here now, what are the government schemes and the family? So here they have mentioned about few important schemes that are run by the family. So it is the provisions under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. They have talked about that Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has two bureaus for the following purpose. One is social defense, and second is welfare of the handicapped, minorities, tribal development, and scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. So these are the two main bureaus run by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Then it says Bureau of Social Defense. Basically, it has given slightly more detail. There controls the problem of family and social disorganization, which manifest in the form of delinquency, juvenile vagrancy, drug addiction, alcoholism, and other such problems of personal and social deviance within the framework of specific laws and allied measures. So under this, basically, this law and the basic, not sorry, use the wrong term. Basically, this bureau, this Social Defense Bureau mainly implements the following schemes for the welfare of children in need of care and protection, for the prevention and control of juvenile, special maladjustment, for spreading awareness about the ill effect of drug abuse and providing counseling, addiction, aftercare, and rehabilitation services, for refugees from other South African countries with their relief and rehabilitation schemes, for grant in aid to welfare programs of the aged, for the development of street children. So this is basically, this is being covered by uh, uh, under this Bureau of Social Defense. Then it says provisions under Ministry of Human Resource Development. So what is this? So Ministry of Human Resource Development runs Department of Women and Child Development, which has two bureaus. One is Bureau of Nutrition and Child Development, and second is Bureau of Women's Welfare and Development. Actually now, because it is not human resource development, because I am directly involved with this, and it comes that Department of Women and Child Development comes under Ministry of Women and Child Development, not under Ministry of Human Resource Development. It is written wrongly over here. I'm just explaining, sharing with you that they have written Ministry of Human Resource Development, but no. Now it this Department of Women and Child Development and the Bureau of Nutrition and Child Development and Bureau of Women Welfare, this comes under Ministry of Women and Child Development. So this, please note, make a note of this. Here it is wrongly written. So I'm just sharing with you. So the department run the following schemes for children. It runs because there are few very important schemes run by Ministry of Women and Child Development for the children. For children, there is one scheme which is very important, which is being run by our this ministry. This is Integrated Child Development Services for Children. It is actually, we call it ICDS. ICDS, it is very famous term in India, that we call it ICDS scheme, this Integrated Child Development Services scheme for children, because this, through this scheme, the woman who's pregnant, and when she gives birth to the child, until the age of 6, the child and the mother, they get the all the nutrition food, and then the children till this age get the non-formal education. They are being provided the meals 3 times, matlab they are provided with the breakfast and the lunch kind of a meal, you know that is being given to them. That basically, it's a nutritious food is provided to children, and to the pregnant woman. So this is under this scheme. Then it talks about adolescents girls scheme. Then it says scheme of crèche daycare centers for children of poor, working and alive ailing women. And then it talks about early childhood educational program. So under all these programs, basically they all focus for the well-being of children in general. So the all the basic needs of children and the women are being catered to by Ministry of Women and Child Development through different schemes. So that's there. So department also runs the following schemes for women. So, what are the schemes for women they run? Hostels for working women belonging to low income group, employment come income generation production unit, training centers for rehabilitation of women in distress, short stay home for women and girls. So, this is something which is being run by the department under the Ministry of WCD. Then it says it also talks about, you know, it has mentioned here that there are provisions under the Ministry of Urban Development also, that they provide the housing scheme for economically weaker sections, for low income group people, for middle income group people, for rural housing sites come construction assistance schemes. So it explains about all such schemes. Then is human rights in the family. So here we are now going to talk in brief about human rights in the family. The goal of the International Year for the Family is 94, is building the smallest democracy at the heart of the society. So according to UN, according to United Nations, human rights could be generally defined as those rights which are inherent to our nature and without which we cannot live as human beings. So human rights and fundamental freedoms allows us to fully develop and use our human qualities, our intelligence, our talents, and our spiritual and other needs. So human rights, basically here the instruments are applied to the family are, there are three kind of a UN, which are related to the family. So first is UN Declaration of Human Rights, that has come in 1948. Then UN Convention on the elimination of all forms of discrimination against women. And then it says UN Convention on Rights of the Child. So basically it talks about these many, mainly, these are the UN conventions that talks about family welfare, basically UN, human rights, and then rights of the child, and elimination of all form of discrimination against women. So these two UN declarations are important when we talk about family. Then it says, in the about this, first unit is going to end with this planning for family for responsible parenthood. So family, in family, a marriage undergoes a transformation when husband and wife suddenly become parents. So transition to parenthood is quite different and often dramatic. It may constitute a crisis in the life of married couple, and it forces them to take on an important and demanding responsibility. So task of parenting allows the wife and husband much less time to devote to each other. That happens. So decision to marry and to bring a child into the world is the couple's decision. So they must responsibly prepare for parenthood so as to provide for themselves and their children in an environment in which they can grow personally and as a family. So this is something which is very important, that when the couple gets married and then plans to have a children in their family, so they have to understand what are their roles and responsibility towards each other and towards the growth of the children, how and what all they can do to raise their children in the family setting. So that's important, you know. So with this, we have completed our first unit about uh, programs for family welfare. So, and we have studied Indian family in a transition phase. So now we will study unit 2. So this will be the last unit for today's session, unit 2. That is going, we are going to talk here about family planning and parenting, you know. So objective and scope of family planning, so National Population Policy 2000, and family mobility, parenting and single parenthood. So we will cover certain important aspects in this unit now. So, so basically, India's family welfare program seeks to promote on a voluntary basis responsible and planned parenthood with the two child norm, male, female, or both, through cafeterian approach, that is an independent choice of family planning method best suited for the couples. So here, you know, what are the objective? It says by the WHO, it's being explained, family planning as a way of thinking and living this is adopted voluntarily upon the basis of knowledge, attitude, and responsible decision by individuals and couples in order to promote the health and welfare of the family group and thus contribute effectively to the social development of a country. So that's important. What are the objectives? You know, objectives of family planning. So, family planning refers to practices that help individuals or couples to attain certain objectives. So, what are that? To avoid unwanted births, to bring about wanted births, to regulate the intervals between pregnancies, to control the time at which births occurs in relation to the ages of the parent, and to determine the number of children in the family. So this is what we all understand by the family planning objective. So I think it must be there in your countries also, that in India we have a norm of two children. And if you all may have noticed and may have heard about it, that in China, you know, for last many years they had a norm of one child due to their overgrowth population, and now to India is turning on number one. So earlier China was number one in the population size, but now India has taken over and India is now on the number one position because China could control their population growth due to their strict rules and regulations, which India is not able to follow yet. So that's anyway, it's one part of the story is that scope of family planning services as per WHO, family planning includes, you know, what are there. So basically, the when it says it talks about proper spacing and limitation of births, you know, advice on sterility, education for parenthood, talks about sex education. Then it talks about, one second, screening for pathological condition related to reproductive system, genetic counseling, premarital consultation and examination, marriage counseling, carrying out pregnancy tests, preparation of couples for the arrival of their first child, providing services for unmarried mothers, you know, teaching home economics and nutrition, and in the end, providing adoption services. So all that is come under the scope of family planning services. So now we will study national population policy. So what is there in national population policy? So it talks about a social policy signifies consensual social purpose and aims at progressive and structural changes. It pays appropriate attention to economic, cultural, political, and social vectors as also to short term and long term perspectives. A population policy can be nothing less than a social policy. Population program must work itself in the whole fabric of social environment and must influence and be influenced by all other measures of social changes. When a policy is translated into programs and activities, it causes social development with due involvement of a integrated diverse range of sector programs and activities. So here it has given about this national population policy 2000. They have given some important goals that has come in national socio demographic goals for 2010. You know, it explains about that. So I think, you know, basically it says the address the unmet needs for basic reproductive and child health services, supplies and infrastructure. It says make school education up to age 14 free and compulsory. It says reduce infant mortality rate, reduce maternal mortality rate, you know, achieve universal immunization of children against all vaccine preventable diseases, you know. It also says achieve 80% institutional deliveries, you know, and 100% deliveries by trained person. So it emphasizes, you know, this policy has a aim, and it emphasizes that all the deliveries should be done in the kind of a hospital setting where it has been the person who's helping to deliver the baby is a trained person, you know. So that has been given importance. Then achieve 100% registration of births, deaths, marriage, and pregnancies. So, prevent and control communicable disease. So, all that has been explained here. Then it talks about strategic themes, you know. So, what are the, you know, here the strategic themes also talks about, I'll just go in very brief: decentralized planning and program implementation, conversion of service delivery at village level, empowering women for improving health and nutrition, child health and survival, you know, special efforts for underserved population groups, diverse healthcare providing, including private practitioners. So, all this has been explained here in the strategic themes. Then it talks about new structures. So, new structure, it explains that four things are there under the new structures. So, first is National Commission on Population. You know, National Commission of Population basically says that it is presided by the Prime Minister of India, you know, that is there. And it says that it will have the Chief Minister of all states and UTs and central ministers from, you know, all the important ministry, that is the Ministry of Health, Education, Ministry of Employment, Ministry of Labor, Ministry of Environment and Forest, you know, Ministry of HRD, Human Resource Development, Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. So all important ministries, you know, where there are the central ministers, so they are all the important part of this National Commission on Population. Next is State Duty Commission on Population. So State Duty Commission on Population will emphasizes by the state level, the state level chief minister, the state level LG, the lieutenant governor, the state level ministers. They will look after the program at state, you know, in every state. So that's there. Then it says coordination cell in the planning commission, and then it talks about technology mission in the department of family welfare. So this is what is has been explained here. Then it talks funding. So funding basically for this National Population Policy 2000. So here the funding is basically obtained from a variety of sources, including international sources, national governments, state governments, NGOs, etc. So from different people, from different levels, this fund can be created and funds can be raised to run this national population policy program. So that's there. In this, we can study a little further that it has explained that panchayats and Jilla Parishads will be rewarded and honored for exemplary performance in universalizing the small family norm, achieving reductions in infant mortality and birth rates, and promoting literacy with completion of primary schooling. Then it says Balika Samriddhi Yojana run by Department of Women and Child Development to promote survival and care of the girl child. Then it says maternity benefit scheme run by the Department of Rural Development that will continue. Then it says a family welfare linked health insurance plan will be established. Then it says couples below the poverty line who married after the legal age of marriage register their marriage, have their first child after the mother reaches the age of 21, है ना, accept the family small family norm and adopt a terminal method after the birth of second child, and they will be rewarded. So this is what, kind of a family planning scheme what we have talked about. So they tried that it needs to be implemented, from the village level people. So then a revolving fund will be set up, income generating activities by village level, self-help groups. You know, in India, there is a concept of self-help groups that is there in the mostly village kind of a setting, or the people who are even in urban areas where there are communities set up, the poor people living in communities are there, and they are many people who create a self-help groups, and they in under the self-help groups they make certain small things, and then they sell it and raise funds for that and earn money, earn their livelihood. So self-help group is on the increase in our Indian settings, you know at a smaller, that is generally in the small community level people are doing into the indulging into that. So it's a real good way of earning money, and especially the women are engaged for, in this kind of a self-help groups most of the time that is observed. Then it says that crèches and childcare centers will be opened in rural areas and urban areas, you know then it says wider affordable choice of contraceptives will be made accessible at diverse delivery points, with counseling services to enable acceptors to exercise voluntary and informed consent. It also says facilities for safe abortion that will be strengthened and expanded. So it has explained certain important things in here. Then the next here is family mobility, parenting, and single parent. This is something again very important, for us to understand. So with the advent of massive technological advancement, every society on this planet is witnessing rapid changes in lifestyle that increases mobility of families, so family mobility primarily affects family lifestyle, you know, family values, relationship and family bonding, departure from joint family and extended families significantly affects the process of growing up for children and poses several new challenges to the young couples and their children in managing domestic affairs as well as health and education of children. This is generally we observe how it is being done. The mobility of families, how it is impacting the growth of children. Ev- Even within families, many changes have occurred as a result of the access to new technologies and social media, including television, computer, games, mobile phones, etc. It's also noted that some changes being occurred in families, including the decline in birth rates, increase in lifespan of the elderly, spending less time for childcare and parenting, and more time for the care of the aged. So these kind of things are generally being observed. So that this kind of practice is there, that with this change occurring, from people living from one place to another due to urbanization, due to any kind of a migration taking place. So this is something what we are observing. you know so now we are going to talk about parenting. So one of the unavoidable role of humans is parenting. Almost all people in their adult life experience the challenge in parenting, है ना? As children, all of us observe parenting from our own parents and parents of other children. So motivation to parenting and much more so to be good were abused by their own parents. It is generally there. If somebody is not being raised properly, so it has a negative impact. You know. So it says, it is also said that in some of the Western countries, and especially US, parenthood education is common, particularly in higher secondary school. The school curriculum on parenting include biological factors of the reproduction, pregnancy, childbirth, nutrition, prenatal and postnatal care of mothers, infant care, process of growing up, parental roles and responsibility, as well as the need and importance of family planning. You know, so need and importance of family planning. So, parenthood training programs have common goals. So that include meaningful communication between parents and child, recognition of the needs of children of various age groups, and appropriate behavior which are value based. So that's really important. That is about, we have studied about parenting, how the parenting is important and how the parents are very important role to play for our children's growth and raising children. you know so then, single parent families, now this is again something, it is a very recent phenomena in Indian setting. So but we are going to study in very brief about that prevalence of single parent families is a very recent origin in India. you know and this concept is gaining momentum, particularly in urban India. Rise in a single parent families due to divorce, due to separation, death of one of the spouse, and in few cases, it may be out of wedlock pregnancies. So, most single parent families in India are headed by women. Most men headed families are due to death of the spouses. So it is a general observation and a feeling that single parents are, mainly it is observed in Indian setting. I have seen hardly, there are, it's not that male single parent are not there, but male single parent are generally there, and which is mentioned here is also due to the death of the spouse. Mostly it is that reason that they are single male parent, but single female parent or single woman parent, when we say, so we will find many single woman parent in Indian setting also. And it is generally observed that they are due to either it is a divorce, or it is a death of the spouse, that is there common for both. And it could be a unwed pregnancy, and that the lady decides to continue with the pregnancy and give birth to the child without the support of the person whose child is that baby is who because of whom that the baby has come to the earth. So she decides to raise that child all alone. So that's there. So although in two parents family, there is an emerging trend among the couple in sharing household tasks including parenting. In a single parent families, one has to put in extra efforts to take of the children as well as work hard to earn sufficient to support of the family. Most single parents have to attend to household chores and responsibilities, including cooking, cleaning, nurturing, and caring for the child. Such parent could be leading very stressful lives, which may also affect the upbringing of the child. Or then it is observed that single children, children of the single parent families in India also have to face stigma and discrimination from friends and relatives. So, such parents will also have the added responsibility of promoting the role models for their children, whether men or women. The challenge of providing good parenting will appropriate skills remains a constant concern for single parent. In case of divorce or separation, the child or children should be constantly assured of the support of both the parents throughout their lives. So, in India, the single parent female is entitled to financial support from the former husband towards maintenance of self and for the child children up to the age of 18 years. You know, the customs and practices do vary depending upon the cultural background of the family. So, with this, we have now completed our second unit. So, we will study our tomorrow we are going to study the third and fourth unit from our third block, and that is about we will study about family planning methods. You may find it strange that we are going to study about the family planning methods tomorrow, and then we will study about the medical termination of pregnancy, that is a fourth unit of this chapter. And this medical termination of pregnancy, basically in medical termination of pregnancy, I have seen sometime the questions have also come on this aspect. And even I have seen the question coming on different method family planning methods also, which we are going to study tomorrow. So that also you will all may find it strange, but we will study whatever little we can about the family planning methods and about this medical termination of pregnancy act. And we will study, there is a fourth block that will talk about major problems in marital life. So we will study one of the unit from block 4 also, that will be psychosocial effects of divorce, separation, and migration. So tomorrow again we will study 3 units. So and that's all from my side for today. If you have any questions to ask, if there is anything, anybody has any thing to share about your country, what all I shared about India, because this course mainly talks about Indian setting and Indian practices. If any one of you share with me something about some practices which are being followed in your countries, that's nice for me to hear from you people. Or whatever we had talked today, if anybody has any question, I am happy to answer. We can talk about that. So please tell me if there is anything. Oh, acha, I just read this message. So congratulations on the Independence Day for Uganda. You know, it's really nice to know about this, that happened in 1962. So now it is more than 40 plus 20. It's now 61 years. Completed 61 years. So congratulations to all from Uganda. Congratulations to all of you. It's really nice to know. But there is so much of silence. You all probably can open and show me your faces. We can just have an informal chat, maybe for enough another 5-10 minutes, if that's possible. Otherwise, anybody, no one is speaking. Anybody is hearing me? Can anybody say something? No one. No one wants to show face also. No one is willing to talk or say anything. Yes, Sani. Yes, you all are on. I know that. But if there is anything, tell me. I would be happy to hear something from you people. It's only one way. Only I am speaking. I would be very happy if you say something, share something about your country with me. That may be, though this, as you have taken admission for BSW course, and you all know that this material, whatever we are going to talk, it's all in relation to India. Most of it, I would say 80 to 90% of the course has material related to India. So I have to tell you only from the Indian side, but if you want to share something with me, I'm most happy to hear to you all. We can have a general chat or a discussion or anything. Anybody wants to say? If there is nothing, then I don't think there's a problem if we can close 10 minutes early. Anyone, please speak. Any one of you, say something. No. So do we close down for today?
Yeah,
Dennis, you
madam, for
said
me, I
you.
would
Huh.
just
Yes,
only
Dennis,
want
please
to thank
say
you
something.
that you have done a great job to us. You have done everything for us. So thank you so much. We wish you the best in everything. And
Yeah.
we have been following from the start. Since last time when we met, you have been good to us. You have conducted us so well. So thank you so much.
So
We
I'm
wish you
so
the best in
happy.
everything.
I'm really happy to hear from you, Dennis. It's really nice. I always like, as I was telling you earlier also, I always believe and I always have a very interactive sessions, because I keep, I'm a person who keeps going for training sessions only. But that sessions are in my field of work, that is a child protection. So I'm an expert in the field of child protection from last 26 years. So all my, oh, thank you, Enes. So all that is, like my area of expertise is child protection, and I give lectures in that field. So if there is any question related to that also, you can ask, you can share. So I think for today, if there are no questions, so we can close. Thank you, Jimba. Thank you. It's really nice to, see you all, whichever way you are communicating
Madam,
with
thank you
me.
so much. Thank you, ma'am. We shall be missing
Okay.
you. Send our greetings to the people in India. We love them. We appreciate everything they have done. Thank you so much.
All
But
right.
you might give us your link. In case of anything, we can still continue with you.
Yeah. I'll share with you on the last day. I will share with you my email ID, so you can, if there is anything, you can send me a mail. And probably, maybe if some of you were there in my last class in the first, for BSW first year, so that time also I had already given my email ID. So it may be with you already. You may be having that with you. If you don't have, I'll share with you a day after tomorrow when I have my last session with you, and we will talk about it more in detail. Okay. So goodbye to all of you. Nice, be in touch with you all. I'm really happy for that. Yeah. I
Okay,
will
ma'am.
share again on Wednesday. Today is Monday, so I will share my email ID on Wednesday once again with all of you.
Oh,
I will do that.
thank
Yeah,
you
I'll
very
do.
much.
You can ask me on Wednesday, I'll share it with you. Okay?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you
Yeah,
very
all
much.
right. Thank you and bye bye. Bye. Bye to all of you. Yeah,
Bye
bye.
bye, ma'am.
Okay, bye. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.